My name is Paul, and I'm 25 years old. I'm a recent graduate of psychology from the University of Guelph and am the youngest of 4 siblings. In my free time, I like fitness, I like getting outdoors, exploring new places, and traveling.
I've been struggling with self-injury for a little over 2 years now, but I'm so much more than that. I'm a student. I'm also someone who loves taking care of plants. I have 7 of them. I'm learning Italian to reclaim part of my heritage, and I'm also learning guitar.
My name is Riley. I enjoy reading. I enjoy listening to music. I like doing puzzles. I enjoy writing. I really like animals. I'm a student. I am a sister. I study psychology and family child studies. I'm a student counselor at my university, and I work as a direct support worker for disabled adults.
During my early childhood, I faced a number of experiences that started me off on the wrong foot. They led me to develop a real powerful hatred of myself and also caused me to develop a difficulty in experiencing emotions and expressing emotions to others. This led me to just developing a lot of pain and a lot of chaos within my mind at a very young age. And this pain eventually led me to begin to abuse substances as early as 13 or so, and also begin to be drawn to the idea of cutting myself. That was something that I saw as a way to release all of this psychological tension that I had built up in my mind, and I saw it as a way to release some of that pressure that I was building up. I remember often being drawn to some form of self-injury almost uncontrollably and almost unconsciously. I would realize myself being drawn to engage in this without even really knowing why. But at this point in time, realizing that I needed to clear something that was in my mind and that was causing me pain. And because I couldn't work through my emotions as well as I maybe could have been able to, I saw some form of self-injury as the only way to do that. Besides that, I'd also use self-injury as a way to punish myself if I felt like I had failed myself or others in some area of my life.
Mental health struggles have always been a major part of my life, but when I got to university, I started experiencing a really, really bad depressive episode, and self-injury was really the only thing that made me feel better. It made me feel a sense of control over my life that I didn't have because I was failing my courses because of the depression. I wasn't able to get out of bed. I was forcing myself to eat like even 1 meal a day. So getting my work done was impossible. Coping with what I was going through and the fact that I was not doing well in school was really hard. So I searched for temporary relief, which was why self-injury was working for me at the time. And that's why it was the coping mechanism that I turned to.
I have harmed myself in the past, mostly during very early years of my adolescence. There seem to be a couple of key stressors which influenced my decision to engage in acts of self-harm. For instance, I can recall seeing others use this as a coping mechanism, and they would show me the harm they had done to themselves. I had a lot going on at the time, which felt very beyond my control. Therefore, it kind of became a way to feel like I was gaining control and coping with the emotions and hardships that I was dealing with. I did continue to use it as a means of emotional regulation in my later years. I could not explain how it worked exactly, but it would release a lot of the emotions I didn't want to feel. Unfortunately, people probably wouldn't use it that much if it didn't do something in response. It did seem to work for me. So I found one thing that worked and I stuck with it.
My journey of recovery has been twofold. In regards to the outright thoughts of suicide that I had experienced, that was resolved relatively abruptly through a series of attempts in my late teens that caused me to realize that if I did carry on allowing these thoughts to take reign over my mind and to control my life, I would in fact end up dead far, far too early. That was a powerful waking up experience a few times in the hospital after those attempts, whereby, again, I realized that if I didn't make a change here, I would in fact be dead. And the more latent, non-suicidal experiences of self-injury have taken much longer to resolve, and in fact are still things that I do see come up from time to time. I think that I'm certainly in a safe place when it comes to this part of my life, and I'd say I'm in a generally healthy place, at least compared to where I've been before, when it comes to dealing with my emotions and when it comes to being aware of what I'm feeling from moment to moment, so that I'm not drawn to a place where I feel the need to injure myself in some way.
I still do get urges, but because I'm on medication that works for me, they've gotten 1,000 times better and more manageable. I understand that, medication obviously isn't for everyone. However, for me personally, finding the right medication saved my life, and it made it easier to cope with self-injury urges. I've also been practicing DB2 skills like distress tolerance, and I do have people to talk to now that understand my mental health struggles and know to check in every now and then, which is really helpful because I do tend to self-isolate when I'm struggling. Those friends mean the world to me, friends that I do have that understand my mental health struggles.
I think in the long run, my recovery really began once I started to accommodate my needs. I had to figure out what I need on a daily basis and what is suited for me. And once I did figure out how to cope with feeling overwhelmed or burnt out, eventually the urges just weren't as common because I wasn't overwhelmed as often. So mostly my recovery was just intertwined with learning how to take care of myself and preventing situations where I feel like I had limited options for coping.
To those who might still be in the midst of self-injury, I would say that your best bet is going to be to focus on the issues that you think are causing you to be drawn to this. Because the odds are is you're using self-injury as a way to cope with something that hurts and something that's wrong inside of you. And so if you just focus on stopping self-injury, I don't think that that's going to help you as much as if you focused on finding peace and finding healing from whatever it is that is plaguing your heart and is causing you this pain. Besides that, I would say that the beauty in life is the most powerful tool that we have to escape all of these different negative forms of relationship to ourselves. If you can find some form of beauty in the world, if you can find something in this world that makes it worth living, I think that by pursuing that and just by experiencing that as much as you can, you won't be drawn to injure yourself, and you certainly won't be drawn to any forms of suicidal thought.
My advice for anybody who's struggling with self-injury is to find somebody that you trust, that you can talk to about the situation, whether it's a friend or a therapist or even an anonymous call helpline. Self-injury, the whole experience can sometimes be really isolating. And so I think personally, the best thing that you can do for yourself, and certainly the best thing that I've ever done for myself, is to reach out for help.
Recovery can look very different for everyone. Recovery isn't linear. It could be hard to see how long and drawn out a recovery process can look like when some days make you feel like you're not improving. Recovery is a day-by-day process, and if you think of it as a day-to-day thing, it's a lot easier to manage. Like, I can do this tomorrow. It's going to be better than I did yesterday. And that makes it a lot easier for me to see the recovery and see myself being able to move past the hard days. I think recovery also requires you to be very person-centered in how you find ways to take care of yourself, as what works for you may not work for others, and what works for others may not work for you. It's very important not to compare ourselves to how other people are improving, because everyone has their own journey with it, as cheesy as that sounds. I also think that if you have needs that others may call rude or selfish, but it's necessary for your well-being, I would encourage you to be more selfish. And I think that was a lesson that was really important in my own journey toward recovery. And lastly, given my own experience of self-harm, I definitely would hope that anyone who's currently struggling is able to choose to seek help. I think the isolation really is the aspect that hinders recovery more than anything else. And I know that is a lot easier said than done, but I do hope everyone can reach out to someone and find a resource to seek out the support they need. I think that can really be life-changing. And if you are supporting someone else, I hope you can be patient and kind.